Carl, it's BT and Sal, buddy. You know, one of the things that I asked Adoree, that we asked him yesterday, because I don't think it's visible to me, who the leader of the team is. And he went through a bunch of names. I didn't really feel as if he settled on anything definitive. Who is the leader of the Giants?
They have to lead by example. I think their head coach is their leader. I think they have Leonard Williams. They have Dexter Lawrence, who are two leaders in their locker room. Saquon Barkley is a leader in the room too. But at the end of the day, you know, leadership comes through a lot of different forms. And right now, the form of leadership that is desperately needed is performance on the field, execution by some of the guys that they're looking to lead them.
Yeah, and look, Carl, right now it's been a disaster. I mean, every week we say the same stuff. We're watching the team go out there. It's the same results. Why would we believe? You know, I'm hopeful that Dable could get things turned around here. You mentioned him as being a leader. They're going to get healthier at some point. But, I mean, they have been, if not the worst team in the NFL, one of the worst teams in the NFL. Why should we believe that things are going to change for this Giants team anytime soon?
Well, you don't have to. Seeing is believing. It's up to them. I really don't believe that words that come out of the locker room should be given any more weight either way in terms of convincing you that they're going to do things. They have to go out and execute. And, you know, I think defensively they are a lot closer than we've seen because the mistakes that they're making are just mistakes. They haven't been overwhelmed. You know, you look at the Miami game, you know, guys out of position, giving up two big plays, but those are fixable things.
Carl,
but they have to fix
600
them.
yards, Carl.
Yeah, they have to fix them.
I mean, but that's not like one or two plays when you give up almost 600 yards. That's getting gashed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but they're not run off the field physically. They're just not making good assignment type plays. Now, the facts are what they are, BT. So I can't defend it, but I can tell you, looking at it, when you look at film and you can point to this is why this happened, this is why that happened, those are fixable things, right?
I don't know.
But when they're
how?
physically
How are they gonna fix it?
overwhelmed,
What are we waiting for?
Listen,
It's almost
I
Halloween.
have that.
Start fixing it already.
I don't have that answer. I'm not in that locker room. I don't have a uniform on. We're having a conversation. Yeah, but we're having a conversation about what some of the things are obvious to everyone, and some things I can't explain. But I can tell you, the coaches have to make some adjustments. I'm not sure. I just heard that Daniel Jones wasn't going to practice this today. But it doesn't matter who's back there. They've got to fix schematically how they're blocking for the quarterback. I don't think Saquon Barkley is a magic elixir. He will help them. But, you know, when they get in some of these passing downs, this offensive line hasn't picked up a twist all season. So I just think schematically, and this is both players and coaching, because as I said last week when we were on, it's not sustainable. And we just saw that it wasn't, because Daniel Jones left the game. And when Tyrod Taylor came in, he looked good escaping, but he got banged up too.
Yeah.
You know, so they have to, but this is a player and a coaching thing. Coaches have to figure out what scheme can get these guys in some type of blocking schematics that will help protect the quarterback. I don't know if it's not sending as many people out in a route and telling your best players go win because we'll protect the quarterback. But it's just, again, it's not sustainable. And whether Daniel Jones plays or not this week, they still have the same issue with whoever's back there.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I don't think it matters if he plays. I mean, you put Phil back there, put Eli on his best. I don't think it matters right now. I think the Giants are going to get rolled this weekend. They're going to be 1-5. And I got to be honest here, Carl, and I generally try to search for some positivity. I see nothing positive. It looks like they're not coached. I know they are. It looks like they haven't practiced once this whole year. They're a disaster. So I think that they're, in my opinion, if I'm running the Giants, I'm one more bad loss away. I'm trading people. Like, can you convince me why the Giants shouldn't be selling pieces off very soon? Because I honestly think that they should.
Well, because it takes too long to build a team. If you have assets, you build around them. You don't give them away and say start from scratch. It's not that simple. It's in, I always use Philadelphia as an example here. What we are seeing from Philadelphia was built over about 4 or 5 years. It just didn't happen the last 2 years. They were building it. They had assets and they build around them. You throw those assets away, and good luck finding others. It's easy when we sit back as fans and say, get rid of this guy. What are you going to replace him with?
Draft picks.
Yeah, okay. And then you got to develop those. How's that going right now?
Well, but
how's
the
that going?
guys that they have aren't developing. So I guess, listen, I get it.
My point to you is you have assets. You build around those. And yeah, you can draft players, but you don't throw away players to get draft choices.
I would trade Saquon.
Picking players is not a exact science as we see.
I know. I would trade Saquon. I would trade Saquon.
Good luck.
I would trade Saquon. You're not going to give him a long-term contract. You're not going to tag him twice.
Okay.
I would try. I would start over.
Okay. Well, starting over is not as easy in the NFL because number one, coaches have jobs.
Yep.
And I don't think management is as patient. Okay, we're going to start over and we're going to do this again. Give me 4 more years. That's not how it works.
Yeah, I understand. I got you.
You know what I'm saying? So everybody's got skin in the game here.
Yeah.
Well, who do you think, Carl, is more to blame here? Is it a lack of talent or is this the coaches and their schemes?
They have better talent than they had last year.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
So why
they
are
have better
worse?
talent? I think, listen, they're all in it together. I think the coaches will say they need to do a better job, and I'm sure the players will say the same thing. I don't think it's a blame game. I think collectively, they are not getting it done. Collectively, they stink, and they have to get it together. But I would be crazy. People are saying, well, fire the offensive line coach, fire this guy. I don't sit in those meetings, so I don't know who's not executing and what guys are capable of. But I think collectively they got to do a better job.
How about Evan Neal? I mean, you're more familiar with watching offensive linemen than I am, but I mean, I don't remember, Carl, in all my years watching football, ever seeing an offensive lineman who blocks air, or at least attempts to block air. Like, dude, you put your body on somebody. What is going on with this guy?
Actually, he had a better game in Miami than he had the previous 3.
What?
I mean, we saw the glaring. The one where a guy just runs right by him. Mm-hmm. And there's, again, we've seen a lot of people break it down, some experts, some novices, but their communication stinks. I mean, he's looking at the linebacker as if the linebacker's blitzing, but you got a back that's going out on a hot route. And so nobody was picking up the edge rusher. So they've got to be better at that. I mean, this is part of the problem. It looks like they don't know what they're doing. And in these plays like that, reinforce it. Like, where's the communication? If you got a back coming out hot, you're going to slide the line. You don't, but Evan Neal he actually, we saw two bad plays. He had some really good reps in that, but what is that saying? You need consistency. You need a guy who can be an anchor, and he's not quite there yet.
He's an anchor, all right.
I even said the other day, I mean, listen, this is the low-hanging fruit, but he said the same thing about how he's blocking air, and I said, I'm not even sure his win rate's 100% against air.
Wow.
I mean, am I wrong? I mean, I feel like he pushes his own guys more than he pushes the opposition, Carl. He's a mess.
I mean, you see what you see.
I got you.
Again, I can't defend it.
Yeah.
I wish them all well, and I think he will get better. But until then, he's open for this type of criticism.
All right, final thing here. It's Carl Banks, Giants legend, part of the broadcast team as well. BT and Sal every Wednesday here with us here on The Fan. Carl, now, you've been associated with this team since the 80s. All right. And there were some incredible high moments. Giants are an outstanding organization. They've lost their way a little bit last 10, 12 years, but totality, one of the charter, but Yankees, Giants, they run the city. But it's been a mess. Last year, the outlier. Is this the worst it's ever? Like, you've done games a long time. They've lost a lot of games. They haven't lost too many games 40-0 and scored 3 points in 2 home games. Optically, is this the worst 5-game stretch you've seen?
No.
Really?
I mean, it's just a recent worst.
Really?
You know, yeah. Or if I can use broken English, there's been worser. You know, we just this is weird. Recency,
even the language of the commentators of the Giants.
Recency bias will tell us that this is, you know, as tragic as it gets. But we've seen it, we've heard it. There's a good news, bad news. There's 12 games left. They can get better in increments.
I know which one is that.
They can get better in increments, and you know, I don't know what it means in terms of wins and losses, but they will be a better team, and that's where they have to get to right now.
No doubt. Hey, listen, we appreciate you being forthright, standing up. I mean, listen, you're not playing, so it's
appreciate
not.
it.
But it's still personal. It's your team. You've got.
Well, no, I'm a Giant fan, so I root for them. Yeah,
I know.
I mean, I get, and you know, I played at a different standard, and so I get frustrated too. But
it's got to kill you. I mean, come on. You see, he just touched on it right there, BT. Carl, you played at a different standard. Watching that slop on a week-in, week-out basis. And look, I'm rooting for the Giants. I thought they would be better than they are, but that's got to drive you nuts. It drives me nuts, but I can imagine you in the booth watching this stuff.
By the way.
Well, that is true. I got to learn my lesson. But, Carl, you were out there making plays for this franchise, wearing that number 58, putting your heart and every blood, sweat, and tears into it. And then you see this, and guys are missing tackles left and right. Like, that's got to make you mad, no?
Yeah, but you know what? I also put on a hat as if I've been a captain on a losing team. But I know what it takes to kind of get guys going when they have the ability. So I'm rooting for them. And, you know, I give them encouragement. I give their leaders encouragement. But nobody's making tackles for them. They got to make them themselves. Nobody's missing blocks but them. So they've got to do that. And, you know, it's frustrating. I get frustrated just like you guys do. I'm just not as fatalistic, I guess.
Well, I mean, is that the word we're looking for?
No, BT is so negative.
I was thinking maybe the word honest.
Is it negative or fatalistic?
I'm trying to lighten BT up.
Yeah,
right.
BT's so negative. I'm glad you could bring some positivity to the show. Thank you, Carl.
The world's ending with this guy over here. Hey, listen, Carl, I appreciate it. You know, we'll do the dance next week. Hopefully, at some point, it's a fun dance because this is miserable stuff. No doubt, buddy.
It's tough.
All right.
Thanks, Carl.
There he
is. Thanks, man.
What the hell are we going to ask him next week?
Oh.
They're going to get destroyed.
Well, we're going to start to look ahead. Can they beat the Commanders? Instead of looking back against the Bills,
you know what's on deck.
We start looking ahead. That's exactly
Jets
right.
Game, boy.
That's exactly
Jets
right.
game is coming.
I'm going to be asking for some field passes. What are you kidding me? Hey, Carl, I got no questions for you, but can you hook me up with field passes for that game? I want to be on the sidelines as BT is getting beat.